Here I found a 2001 Suzuki Marauder VX800. VX800 or XV, VX800. I'll put it on the screen, but it's a good front end, great tire. I'm probably going to use that on the Kawasaki. And we're going to take off the caliper here, and it's still linked to the master cylinder, so everything should be good to go on that. We'll sell that as a whole, but what we need to do first is 14mm socket. There we go. Basically, I think we just need to do that. And this thing rolled just fine. There's our bolts. And there's our caliper. Somehow it'll fit beyond the rim here, hopefully. There we go. Slide that around, and then of course this might be mounted to your bike. It looks like the line runs through this here hole in the part of the triple tree. So I'm gonna have to disconnect one of the ends and just pull it through. So that's probably a 12 now. Let's see, doesn't look like a 14 anymore. So I could have done this earlier. So we'll pop that off and pull it through. Okay, then there's a little bushing that goes and holds it in place. And then there's a nice sleeve over the brake caliper line, brake line. And there's one on top too. So this is a really nice setup. The master looks good, except for a little bit of, looks like the brake fluid is leaking out a little bit over time, but still in great shape. I actually don't know if it works or not, never tried it. Brake fluid actually looks pretty decent in the caliper, so just wanted to show you that before I put it back on. Crush washer down. Oh, don't get dirt in it. Don't need dirt in it. Put the crush washer back in on that end, put it through the brake line, and then we can tighten it back down so it's not leaking, and then someone else could use this on their bike. Maybe I'll tear this down and take it apart. Let's make sure that's tight, and then we're good. So brake caliper, let's look at that quick. Yeah, it's a little dirty. I'll blow that off. Pins are rusty. We can clean this up quick if we need to. Pads aren't terrible. The pistons look a little rusty. So yeah, maybe we'll clean this up. I'll list it on eBay, see if anybody bites. If they don't, we'll go ahead and clean it. Make sure it's functioning. It actually looks like it would be. Nice lever up here. Yeah, everything looks to be in great shape. So there's that. Look at these shocks. You have inverted shocks. That's amazing. Looks like they're not leaking. This thing's been sitting around for a while. Awesome tire. Front wheel on this 130 90/16. That's actually the same size on a lot of the bigger cruisers and the Goldwing. I actually have a front end for a Goldwing I need to tear down too, an 84. Yeah, look at that. Here's our speedometer. They got everything ready to go. Pretty rim. It's actually in really nice shape, and the thing's still holding air. There's no issues there. So if anybody needs these parts, let me know. As I said, it's a 01 Suzuki Marauder, and it's pretty awesome front end. Maybe I bought it. I was gonna put it on my CBR, but it's definitely not gonna fit. Or no, maybe I bought this in a lot of parts. So anyway, looking good and not leaking. So inverted forks, guys. We're gonna get our front wheel off too. So your lock nut just happens to be a 6mm hex. So get that free. I already knocked it free with a hammer. And this guy, can't find my bits for it. So There, lock nuts free, and then we have what, a 17? 17 on the actual axle nut. So I think we'd go axle nut off. I guess I could be wrong. No, that comes off that side. All right, well, let's work on it a little longer. There she is. Ooh. There she is. Wow. What a mess. Okay, so now that should slide through. There, threads on that side. So now I'll pull it out. And that's the end of that. If it tightened up, well, I'll grab it and pull it out. My wheel is free because I want to take that tire. Here is our spacer that goes in between the wheel and the axle. Probably fits right in there. And then there's our axle, and that just threads into the end on the other side. So she's good to go. There you go. Oh, and now that that's all free, there's our Speedo, which looks dirty and grimy and gross. And there's our Speedo gear. It actually looks intact. And now we can get our Speedo free. And get out and ride.